Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. We're on the maps immediately for a focused creative video to do with a specific theme and possible theory as for how Carter Combs could be in two places at once because there is a middleman factor in between it all and a possible cover-up to avoid any other mishaps, arguments, things escalating along the way. This video may require a level of focus, so whilst you're here, feel free to sit back, relax. If you want to watch visually or just listen in, you're welcome to do so. And for those that are currently watching this live premiere, welcome. Share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. I'm going to be moving about today. We're going to be spinning, we're going to be zooming in and out, and I'll be making references to these supposed events at these times because it can tie in line. We've looked at themes of arguments, girl trouble, jealousy, possible revenge, eye for an eye, the arguments between Jack and Noah. Noah starting with Jack because Jack did something before that, which was flirting with Noah's girlfriend at the time who wasn't at the party, and how that escalated from there with the shower scene. But what about from a different perspective? Besides Jack this and Jack that, Jack shit, Jack of all trades, Jack hammer, and whatever else in between, pissed off Jack, said it that way round so I didn't sound too dodgy. What about Carter Combs? Did Carter Combs ever get caught up within it at the party, ever dragged along? I'm sure there's a fair chance that whether it be in the moment now or later on, some people may join in and defend Carter. Fair enough, you do what you need to do. Just take in mind that I'm doing this as like a discussion and an alternative to try and understand the ins and outs of the party and furthermore the situation Noah Presgrove was in. Was he ever in a compromised moment between different people? His interaction skills based off when he's normally drunk, drinking alcohol, does that ever put him in harm's way and whatnot? As for Carter Combs, it's important to acknowledge that she was supposedly the designated driver, meaning she wasn't drunk. My question is, does Carter Combs drink alcohol any other time? And if so, why didn't she on that day or over that weekend? I personally don't know if Carter drunk alcohol Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, Monday morning, classified as a designated driver. Was it agreed upon that at least one of the party hosts would need to stay clean from alcohol so then they could give anyone else a lift back home or not? What's the deal there, first of all? You got to take in mind, whoever was sober at the party, would they have a better recollection of thoughts as to what happened compared to others that were drunk? And as well, a counterpoint would be those who were drunk or drinking alcohol anyway, don't mean to say that they were completely out of their or off their head, because stories switch and change with time and people can say that's memory loss, but would any of the mindsets and memories from other party goers have been any clearer if no one was drinking alcohol and you just had water? Would it be more consistent or would it still be just as messy? I want to know your thoughts down below. So currently we're looking down towards the party house. And as for the events on the days, it's probably around Saturday time what we focus in on. Where was Carter? Was she ever caught up in anything? And just to make it clearer, I'll do so in a second, I wanted just to acknowledge that if you are interested in this type of coverage, these type of videos and much more, and you've missed out in the past, don't worry, top right corner of the screen, if you hover the cursor, top right corner, there will be an I symbol, click, drop down box menu with the full playlist and some previous videos as well from the past. Be sure to check them out when you've got time. And by the end of this video, I want to know your thoughts regarding this theory concept, okay? You can leave a comment down below under the video. It'll help with spreading the awareness too. And you'll find a pinned message by me with additional links if you do want to support this channel. Credit to those that have in recent time and clear for the gifted membership. And Watch Your Crazy as well on a live stream. So let's focus in on the events. It does help having these default markers. It's somewhat basic, but we don't want it cluttered because that's what the case really is. 12 a.m, supposedly, based off Caden's timeline, the private one, Noah yells at Jack. Noah starts the argument with Jack because of what Jack's done previously, flirting with Noah's girlfriend. But take in mind, we don't know when the flirting took place. On the day of the party, and if it was, it would have had to have been done electronically, digitally, online, through social media, because Noah's girlfriend was not at the party. Never was. My question is on the sideline, if Noah's girlfriend was present at the party, would it have led to a different outcome at the end of the day? And would any of the other side events in between have ended differently? Or would they have never have happened to begin with? Just little questions like that. Because when you think of it, Caden Pressey at the party, they're trying to have a good time and do what he can with the limited mobility he has. And then when the cousin comes on down, that's added responsibility on top of Caden to look after her, to watch over her shoulders, to make sure no one messes with his cousin. But would it be the same for Noah Presgrove? If present at the party with his girlfriend, would he be looking out, making sure no one goes anywhere near her? I wonder. Because trying to understand it from the point of view of Jack Newton as well, it's easy to say that Jack could be a bit too possessive, or could be too controlling, or could be considered by some out there as insecure, and that's why he might have a tight grip over Carter Combs. At the end of the day, they're still together till this day and getting on with stuff, so it can't be that bad. But at the time of the party, when in the presence of other males, what's the ratio between males to females at the party? Are there more males to females? If so, there is more competition. Even if there is no competition, depending what your mindset is like, you may be a bit, your senses are a bit more heightened, you're a bit more aware, whether it be primal instincts, it doesn't really matter. You'd be looking around, scanning the room and thinking, right, who's present, who do I know, who do I trust, and who's a stranger? If you've got 30 to 40 people, an additional 30 other people at the party who could be strangers to an extent, and males, could Jack at any point be thinking, I don't know how to think about this or feel? We've got to take in mind that did anything happen in the past with Jack which caused him to be the way he is, supposedly, where he has a go at people, other guys, for talking to Carter Combs at the party? For example, Saturday, Jack calls out Colton, tells him off because of talking to Carter Combs. So, one of your own family members related by blood, your older brother simply is talking to your girlfriend, and then you lose it and you say to Colton, you can't come back. You better not be coming back the next day to the party. And that's what Colton said himself. Now, is Colton covering for Jack? It'd be normal because, you know, you're related, you look out for one another. But it just happens that Colton was supposedly present at the party the next day, right? And we've seen it highlighted, confirmed by Caden Pressey, who witnessed Colton, Travis Monson, and a skinny guy returning back to the party house Sunday night to get alcohol, meaning they were there earlier, whether that mean earlier in the day or the day before, which would timeline with Colton actually being present. Even though Colton has said at times, no, I wasn't actually there, but I was. No, I wasn't, but I was. Yeah, very helpful, isn't it? Must have been present at the party for Jack to call Colton out for talking to Carter Combs. End up contradicting yourself there. Plum. But yeah, you could say, well, where does this tie in with Carter Combs if that's what the video is today? It's because with the petty talks going on and others may simply be having a conversation with Carter, did she ever feel like she was caught in the fire? Did she ever feel like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that? I can't do something so basic or simple as this because Jack will probably get jealous or Jack will get pissed off and more. And whilst he may not be having a go at me, he'll be having a go at others. And I don't want that drama. I don't need that conflict. This is a party. It should be fun. And at least from the footage, what we've seen, it's mostly been fun and casual. That's what the funny thing is, or it could be a bit hard to believe, that this party house in such a rural, desolate area with a very, very low population in this area specifically, and with the footage, it seems relatively okay. But then from all the other stories and switches and changes of stuff and deleted or hidden footage, it's like two complete contrast, night and day difference. It makes you think, how much more different does it really look if you see it yourself firsthand? And unfortunately, we've not had the chance to see that. It's like the side-by-side rollover. Some people may see it in a sinister way, others may see it as an accidental way, and then in between, as has been described by some of the opposition, is that they're actually laughing after the event, like it was so casual and it wasn't that big of a deal. And you need to try and find the correct atmosphere, the true tone, so then you get a better idea of how things were and up to the point of when it started to possibly escalate, right? Because if there is a feeling of doubt or a sense of darkness looming over, a shadow casted over Noah at any point, your perspective and perception of what would happen afterwards, obviously the negative outcome, death, but in terms of the cause of it, foul play or not, accidental or not, location strange or explainable. Depending how the atmosphere goes at the party house and what you hear and see, that can determine what you may think of next as to what's happened to Noah. If we was to know that the party was perfectly fine, okay and calm, nothing bad, nothing strange going on, and then there was a sudden drastic turn where Noah ended up, does it link the same? If you're at the party and there were ongoing arguments, tension, resistance building, and then it shortly leads to Noah walking away, whether that be to do with the girl trouble, the sleeping debacle, something to do with Carter Combs, something to do with Jack getting caught up, pissed off Jack, whatever. There's a more of a link there that a bad event follows after you walk away, catches up to you literally, and knocks you down. So it's about understanding the atmosphere, just like with the psychological effects and the behaviour and how it can send people in a certain direction, a form of guidance for the right or wrong reasons. And was Carter Combs ever guided to go here or do this or that at a time of when Jack wasn't present or alert or awake to try and reduce any resistance or conflict? This video might get resistance, it might get called out, but it's a deep discussion. I'm throwing it out there, bits and bobs. If you want to clear it up, you can do so down below in the comment section there. To an extent, there is a freedom of speech here, so it's all under control. Even with the last video that I said, oh, by the next day, it'll be at 300 plus views. Well, it already is at 300 plus comments, I should say, not views, comments. So it's quite high activity levels. So at the moment of when Jack calls out Colton, was that face-to-face or was it via text message or a phone call? I think how it was worded by Colton in that Snapchat message, it was almost like by digital communication. Hey, don't come back, don't bother coming back the next day. So Jack saw his older brother as a threat towards his girlfriend. But how did Carter Combs think or feel about it? Did Jack ever ask her? There are some alternative points mentioned by people who may or may not know Carter by suggesting that, oh, the way Carter was playing around with other guys, and whether that be flirting or faking and saying how there's other people that want me, playing mind games with Jack. How true is that? I don't know. I've not seen any evidence of that. But if it did exist, you could kind of understand why Jack could be a little bit jumpy. Oh, shit. Jack in the box, jumpy Jack. Oh, no. Sleepwalking Jack. Does that apply to Carter Combs? Well, we'll get to that shortly, as I said, because it's a part of the events. But after the situation with Colton and Carter and how that supposedly went, and if in between Noah and Carter simply talking, would it ever get to the point where there would be an atmosphere where no guy wants to talk to Carter or even hang out because of Jack being jealous or supposedly getting worked up? See, we've got to understand the tone and atmosphere again. How bad is it really? And I'm not saying this is not a therapy session. This is not counselling. Okay, as said, Carter and Jack, whilst they did split up at one point, they are together from now on and in the future. So it can't be that bad, right? But at the time of the party, was there any complications along the way? I've got to try and understand. Was there any other people that got into an argument or any conflict with Jack just through being in the presence of Carter, right? See, if we go back to the little timeline thing, just here, the atmosphere and tone for when we first heard about the argument between Noah and Jack having a go on a Saturday, there was no context. It was very rough and vague, to do with girl trouble. So people assumed or presumed that it was Jack having a go at Noah because Noah talking to Carter Combs. Oh, well, then that would be reinforced with Colton getting called out by Jack because of talking to Carter Combs. Do you see a bit of a pattern how it orbits around? Anybody that interacts with Carter Combs, does it lead to something bad happening? Just like how indirectly and unfortunately, anywhere where Caleb goes, death follows. Like how some people have suggested. Different events, but maybe it's just a coincidence. A very unfortunate coincidence, you could call it. But with context given by Caden Pressey in a private interview that, supposedly at 12 a.m, Noah yells at Jack, not Jack yelling at Noah, because Jack did wrong, Noah did not. So it's not about Carter here. It reduces the tension about that theme. It narrows it down. It lowers the darkness of the atmosphere. So not everything orbits around Carter Combs and trouble following after or before. Just wanted to make that clear. So besides this particular event with Colton, is it an isolated event? That's what you're going to try and work out. Why would Jack be so mad at Colton for simply talking to Carter? Is it because there's like a form of brotherly competition, maybe? And with Colton being the older one, did Jack feel inferior? Who knows? Now, these other particular events, this one, 2 to 3 in the morning, Noah walks off. We don't need to focus too much on that one because it doesn't tie much in regards to what I'm aware of. But this one, 2:40 a.m, side-by-side rollover, and then the shower. No timestamp given for the shower because we don't have a video proof. We don't have a screenshot of the original gallery, which the photo or video is within, so we can't tell by the timestamp. How do we know it's 2:40 by the side-by-side rollover? Because that's what Caden says. Oh, well, if that's what Caden says, then that's good enough. Well, based off the mentality of some people with time, it should be, shouldn't it? And then people switch and change over. Not good. But in terms of the private interview, Caden was saying or stating the time based off what he was shown, not what he was told. There is a difference between being told something happened and then being shown video footage and a photo or one or the other that did. There is a big difference. Caden was shown hard evidence, and then he's relaying that onto the police during that private interview. There'd be no reason to lie about the side-by-side rollover if it's such a simple, insignificant event which didn't lead directly to the death of Noah, nor was there a follow-up from it. So it should be simplified, it should be answered efficiently, and it should be done and dusted. And it hasn't been over time, has it? But we've got a bit more information since. That helps to an extent. As for the shower, complete mess. We don't know the time. It would be very important to know, because from 2:40 to what? What is the time? Because what's the next timestamp that we do have? 3:30. So from 2:40 to 3:30, what happens in between that time difference? What happens with Carter Combs and where she's at? Because it's Jack Newton himself. This is where we've got to get in. Jack Newton supposedly originally said to Noah Presgrove's father, Victor Presgrove, that at 11:30 p.m. Sunday night, Jack and Carter went to sleep in Carter's bedroom. Because Carter lives there and Jack, well, is with Carter. It makes complete sense. But then what happens after that? The next event where Carter is awake or Jack is. Well, in Jack's book of stories, from 11:30 the next time round, when being present, alive and awake would be at around 5:50 in the morning. Yes, it doesn't tie in with Caden Press's timeline, because Caden at 2 in the morning said that Jack was awake and stood around, hanging about with Noah and Jasmine and some others. Did Caden mention Carter Combs' name though? Don't think so, but I think Caden said in general that everybody was awake except for me, Brylan, Isaac, Mikey. Everyone else was pretty much awake and doing whatever. It sounds vague, but it's from what I can remember, okay? So there's that. Yeah, we heard references of how can Jack know all of this that's happened but also be asleep at that time or a bit later? He can't be in two places at once. Well, from what Jack has said or others, is that information has been passed on with time. Third, second-hand information. It's not good enough because you're being told something happened. You're not being shown what happened. Unlike with Caden Pressey, who was shown a photo and possibly a video of the side-by-side rollover with the timestamp shown. That visual learning, that's much better than just being told this and that by somebody else. If it can be backed up with hard evidence in the moment, it's more likely to be ingrained within your mind and memory. With the absorption of alcohol, which can cause an impact on memory and lead to some kind of memory loss if you blacked out, depending on how much you do have to drink. But what about Carter Combs? If Carter Combs was the designated driver, not drunk, not drinking alcohol, would that mean that her memory recollection would be a lot better, clearer and sharper? I wonder. And to be honest, if there was anything going on between Carter Combs and Noah, like if there was an understanding or there was a closeness or there was a friendship, why not take Noah back home? Why did that never happen? Well, the other counterpoint is, and it gets a bit messy here, because it's been going about, there's been some references. I'll be honest with you, I've never seen the hard evidence myself. I want to make that very clear. If anyone has a screenshot, actual proof, like a screenshot of a statement by Carter Combs claiming to not know who Noah Presgrove is, or to say, I'm not quite familiar with Noah Presgrove, I don't really know much about him, or I don't know him at all. If anyone has a bloody screenshot, feel free to pass it on so I can look at it a bit closer, because you can get a contradiction after a contradiction. If you don't know someone and they're a stranger, then why the fuck are you going to be in the same room as them if they're unclothed and you've got a boyfriend and you're going to try and wash or hold them up, the stranger? Yeah, you must know the person. You must be somewhat comfortable with them to be in the same presence and be close as well. And if that's the case, well then fine, fair enough. But to be going around saying, I don't know who he is just a bit odd. But once again, I've not seen the hard evidence for myself, so I'm just being careful with the language and wording here. But you can understand how certain events which may involve Carter Combs contradict with Jack's story and contradict with Carter Combs' claims about Noah Presgrove. This does not help. I can do more of a complete, shorter comparison in the future to possibly highlight some of the contradictions in no particular order, because, you know, whatever comes first in the mind, if that makes sense. And of course, you don't just have to focus on Carter, you got Jasmine Milan, but with Jasmine Milan, was Jasmine in a relationship with anyone at the time of the party? Because as a standalone event, Jasmine Milan was close to Noah Presgrove before and after. After the death onwards, when she got a tattoo to honour and in memory of Noah. I think that was done as just a matter of being close friends. But there is that video footage of Jasmine Milan kissing Noah Presgrove, and it was somewhat intense. I can't remember if the eyes closed or they made eye contact, but it wasn't a kiss on the cheek or the forehead. It was lips locked together. And some of you have seen that video and others on repeat when it wasn't stopped. It was on repeat over and over again. And, you know, is that what friends do? It kind of blurs the lines in a way. Maybe some people are a bit closer than others, but not in a deep, meaningful way. It gets all messy, doesn't it? It doesn't help at all. But just to understand, there was a level of closeness between Noah and Jasmine. So, such as the side-by-side roll over, and he needs escorting back. Does he need carrying? Are people putting their arms over Noah, or Noah's arms over the girl's shoulders, and he's being dragged in? I mean, was it the side-by-side rollover that led round the back, where the I forgot the name of it. I was going to say it there we go, in the pasture. When Noah Presgrove was in the pasture and the side-by-side rollover occurred, did at that point Noah get the debris or grass tied in his shoelaces? Maybe not. You've got to take in mind, as a possibility, was Noah Presgrove wearing shoes in that side-by-side accident? On the front patio way earlier on at around 1:05 a.m, on the front, when Noah Presgrove was getting slapped by Brylan Sweat once, they weren't... Well, Brylan was wearing shoes, Noah Presgrove wasn't. Probably because it's warm, right? But if you was to go on a long-distance walk, even if it's hot, there's a chance you're going to put some kind of shoes on. Even if it's really hot and you're going to go hiking into the mountains, you're going to put some kind of footwear on to protect yourself, protect your ankles, whatever. As for Noah Presgrove, who was in that side-by-side rollover event, was he wearing shoes then? If he wasn't, well, then he couldn't have got the grass and debris within the laces, right? It would have had to have happened afterwards. Also got to take in mind, at the time of when Noah Presgrove possibly died, possibly murdered, must have been wearing the mismatched shoes at the time of the death in order for the vegetation to get into the laces, because it is mismatched shoes. Getting grass in the laces at the same time as one another whilst wearing mismatched shoes, possibly. Couldn't have been Caden Pressey, because Caden Pressey isn't exactly mobile. Caden couldn't be rolling about at the party or running around getting grass in his shoes, could he? Because he's not mobile enough. But Noah could. Or just at least if Noah was wearing shoes, even if it's mismatched, even if it's someone else's, could get grass in. You know, just to put it into perspective, let's just say you've got a person who's paralysed in a wheelchair. They can't walk. They can't move about. They can't do much whatsoever. And yet the shoes end up having evidence upon it, which implies that the person has been walking about. It makes no sense. But the counterpoint is, just happens that someone else was wearing the shoes of the disabled person at a later point. So that's how the evidence got onto it, which showed that there was movement, but in the footprints, literally in someone else's shoes, wearing them at the time, can apply here with Noah Presgrove. This example what I used about someone who can't walk at all, that's not a comparison to anyone in this case. It's just a fact of an extreme example to put things into clear perspective. As for Noah Presgrove, more mobile than Caden Pressey. So at whatever point when Caden Pressey's one shoe with the grass in the shoelace must have occurred at the same time as Noah's shoe with grass in the shoelace, which would mean both mismatched shoes worn together at the same time by Noah during the time of his death, maybe. See, wouldn't it be weird if Noah did wear shoes in the side-by-side rollover? I don't know personally because I've not seen the footage, but Caden had. So whether Noah was wearing shoes or not. But if he was, would he have been wearing his matching shoes or mismatched ones? Was there any point at the party on any of the days where Noah Presgrove was wearing mismatched shoes besides the ending with Noah? Any earlier times, I wonder? Just wanted to throw it out there. These additional thoughts that come with me along the way. To refer back to Carter Combs and Jasmine Millan, where were the girls at the time of this rollover? Did the girls come out? Were they called out to help Noah? Or did Noah stumble on into the house and then the girls were like, oh goodness, we'll take you to the shower. Yes, we will. You could understand why Jasmine Millan would be quite willing to do so if she's not tied with anyone, or at least feels like she's not in control or being controlled by anyone. So there's not going to be any jealousy, there's not going to be any backlash. They'll help Noah. Jasmine Millan, close to Noah, as we've seen. It makes sense. Jasmine Millan, her personality, at the time or later on in life, being that care assistant, caring for people to an extent. That's because of the personality behind it. You do it because it's what you are and what you're good at or what you like to do, caring for people. So in the moment of caring for a friend, taking to a shower, that makes sense. But the ties with Carter Combs and Noah, if Carter is true in what she says, that she didn't know Noah at the time. Why would Carter be willing to assist with the same care as Jasmine when Jasmine knows Noah more than Carter does, supposedly? Unless it's a false point and Carter does know Noah fairly well. And you would expect that, considering if Carter is with Jack and Jack is best friends to Noah, then at some point when Jack came across Carter, I'm sure Jack would have introduced Carter to Noah, when considering that with that party and the indirect invites, or at least inviting people down, saying, oh, maybe you should come, maybe you can come. You thought there might have been a bit of a heads up to Carter, right? You know, you live here, I've got a best friend called Noah, you might be familiar with him by now. Is he okay if he comes down? Things like that. You'd expect. So this is where there is conflict. Jack wasn't present during the side-by-side rollover, yes or no? Maybe not. Jack present during the shower? Probably not. So where would he be? Where would Jack Newton be? Oh, he's asleep. It makes sense if he's away from it and he's not aware of these events going on at the time. He's only told about it afterwards, so he's passing it on. Yeah. But if Caden Pressey just happens to see Jack awake at the party at these times, such at 2:40 and onwards, the hell's going on there? Now, you got to say, well, if Jack was awake and was present around 2:42, awake in the house 2 minutes after the rollover, then Jack probably should have heard or found out about that rollover at the time and the keys going missing from the bedroom area where Noah supposedly took them from earlier. But then that wouldn't timeline with Jack being asleep, unless Jack was asleep at the time of when Noah came into the room of Carter's to get the keys, and a bit afterwards Jack woke up and decided to walk about a bit. But then it wouldn't make any sense, because as we heard from Caden Pressey, Caden said at around 2:42 you had Jasmine Millan, Jack Newton and Noah Presgrove near the beer pong table. That's 2 minutes after the side-by-side rollover. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever, especially if Noah had a bloodied nose and after the rollover shortly had the shower. So something's wrong, right? But you got to take in mind that isn't the only timeline Caden's provided, because Caden also said that around 3:20 or 3:24, Caden said he did not see Noah present. Right. Or at least roughly around 3 a.m. onwards, did not see Noah. Just assumed that he was there at the party, which isn't exactly helpful. That said, this video is about Carter Combs. So if we was just to base it off the theory, the original claim by Jack that Jack and Carter went to sleep at 11:30 p.m. Sunday night, and then early hours of Monday morning, before 2:40 a.m. at some point, Noah Presgrove goes into the bedroom of Carter's, in which Jack is asleep. Carter was. Maybe some noise is disturbed, causing Carter to wake up and wonder what's going on. Not much of a reason to wake Jack up, because Jack didn't get up or wake up. Carter didn't see the need to. I don't know what the discussions were or how deep they were. Jack said it in his last interview, Partners in True Crime. This is what happened, what I've just relayed, based off that Carter was woken up, Carter witnessed it, then Noah left with the keys. And Carter relayed that event onto Jack at a later point. Interesting. What I want to know is, if any of that is true, once Noah left to go into that side-by-side round the back, what did Carter do after that? Right? Because it is quite possible that Carter could have got up, woken up, and followed Noah outside, or just because of being woken up by Noah coming on into the bedroom, she couldn't get back to sleep, or she felt like, do you know what? I'll get up for a little bit. I'll go into the kitchen area or the dining place. I'll see how other people are doing. And then, whilst being awake and present, finding out about the side-by-side rollover, more encouraged likely to go outside and help Noah and him and Jasmine take to the shower, whilst Jack is still asleep, completely oblivious, unaware of what's happened. But then you could say, why didn't Carter Combs go back to alert Jack as to what's happened if there has been an accident? Because wouldn't it be of interest to Jack, whether that be hey, your best friend is somewhat injured, by the way, even though Carter didn't acknowledge that in that text DM on Facebook by saying Noah was dirty. No acknowledgement of an injury or anything whatsoever, and yet it was Caden that acknowledged that there was an injury with Noah, and even one of the opposition's parents or family members said it online that they had a busted lip. Noah did. So some injury, minor, but still a bit of damage done. Wouldn't best friend want to know about that to the other best friend? Why didn't Carter pass a message on then? For Jack to be woken up if he really was asleep, as he claims, right? But that aside, the other counterpoint would be any damage to the side-by-side, any scratches, just the fact that it rolled over, wouldn't Jack want to know because it's his own vehicle out of personal interest, and yet Carter felt no need to tell Jack at the time or in the moment. I'm just basing it off a theory that if Jack was asleep, which is hard to believe, I know, but if he was with Carter, there is a chance that there was an event which came about, so getting into the room to take the keys, Noah did, which alerted and woke up Carter, and then from there on, Carter couldn't go back to sleep, may have got up, walked about, hung out with others, taught, and then one thing led to another with the side-by-side rollover because she was present nearby, willing to help Noah, then leading to the bathroom to wash Noah down. No mention or acknowledgement to Jack in the moment because it could have led to unnecessary drama or conflict. Maybe Carter Combs feels fine with Jack at the time, but at the same time didn't want the excess baggage that came with it, because as we saw when it came to Saturday, Colton was supposedly called out by Jack for talking to Carter Combs in the room, and then maybe at some point Noah was talking to Carter Combs in the corner of the room, which led to more jealousy at some point. At what point would that be? Well, we seem to forget about the 3:30 argument, or close to 3:30. Before or during when Noah walks off, where Jack has a final argument with Noah and it's more one-sided that way. Noah started it Saturday. What? Jack finished it on the Monday? How it comes across. And you know what isn't acknowledged enough? Is that Justin Roy stated that this particular argument was very aggressive. There was pushing and shoving. Why is that never acknowledged? Why is that never mentioned anymore? I wonder. Well, if I find a clip, like a little clip of it, I'll play it in audio with the captions if possible, and I'll show it directly to you. Because if there is an argument, then there is pushing and shoving, a form of physicality, and then shortly afterwards, Noah doesn't return back. It doesn't seem too good. It follows a certain direction, emotionally, psychologically, and maybe physically. But that particular argument, what was that about? Supposedly girl trouble again. Was that final argument, the one on Monday morning before or during when Noah walked away, was that all because of the argument with Jack, girl trouble, and Carter Combs? Colton faced the wrath of Jack in the whiny voice, and then Noah did too, but on the Monday, because Noah was talking to Carter in the corner of the room at some point. Could that possibly be it? Could Carter at the party be rolling their eyes back thinking, oh, here we go again. Why do we have to do this, Jack? Why are you like this? I'm just giving scenarios as to how things could go about and the conversations, or more so the arguments. I just want to do some street view so it's not too boring with the maps. So what I'm thinking is that, yeah, if it's true that Carter was with Jasmine and assisting Noah in the shower and Noah was unclothed, and with the exception of that other guy jumping on into the shower, did that other person jumping into the shower ever tell Jack Newton about it? Oh yeah, we were in the shower with Noah and unclothed. And by the way, your girlfriend was there and may or may not have been recording it too. Would Jack have been thinking, what? Really? I don't know. I'm just thinking that in an alternative situation where you've got a couple, one's asleep, the other one was, the one that's been woken up decides to move about, but doesn't bother telling the significant other because it's only going to worry them. It's only going to cause more distress within them. It's going to cause more interrogation or more pettiness. Let's reduce the arguments. Let's avoid the drama. I'll go off. I'll go and do this. I'll go and do that. And I'll come back and make it seem like nothing ever happened. It's for the best. It does make you think, doesn't it? I know Caden's timeline highlights that Jack was awake. Yeah. I'm just giving an alternative based off Jack's timeline, or at least the original one, with Carter. Whether that been done as an alibi, it's problematic because you can question, well, what? Jack's in two places at once? He's asleep, but also Caden sees him awake in rooms? What? But then you got Carter Combs, who didn't say themselves, but Jack just grouped himself with Carter. Oh, we're asleep. It's easy to come up with that alibi, possibly, because you're together. You're a couple. Oh, you're sleeping in the same room, the same bedroom. You're going to bed at the same time. Well, that's normal, what people would do. Fine. As soon as you go to sleep, you're completely out of it. You're excluded out of the events and anything that follows after that. You're blind from it. See, hear, listen, no evil, whatever it is. But then if another person says, well, no, actually, you were there. You were actually here. It messes up your whole alibi. But as for Carter, I don't remember Carter saying what time she went to sleep. So Carter's kind of being dragged in with Jack as part of a alibi or a false one. Doesn't really help, does it? And people can say, well, time changes over time. People say, oh, I went to sleep at 11:30. No, I went to sleep at 1 a.m. No, I went to sleep at 2 a.m. That's hours passing by. That big time difference and changes, is that done by mistake? I mean, yeah, Caden Pressey has been out when it comes to certain times. I mean, Caden Pressey was the one to say it was 1:30 a.m. when he recorded Brylan slapping Noah. Well, that's wrong, because we saw the hard evidence, or I passed it on to you indirectly. I'll probably still have to try and get a screenshot if I haven't done it already, where it says 1:05 a.m. So when Caden said it happened at 1:30, no, it happened a bit earlier. And there's a fair time difference in between it. The bigger the time difference, and it's through a mistake or memory loss, the more worrying it becomes, because then every other event that's been said to have occurred at a certain time stamp, do you believe in it or not? Because at the end of the day, this 240 side-by-side rollover, you could be awkward and say, yeah, but we've not seen it ourselves as for hard proof. We're only being told it by Caden Pressey that it happened at 240. And if Caden Pressey has form, not in a manipulative way, just mistakes made, forgetting things wrong and times mixed up, or there's a big time difference, who's to say that 240 was the actual time? Well, the only exception that I say is because Caden was talking about what he's been physically shown as for hard evidence, and you'd be hoping to think that it'd be more of a lasting impression in someone's mind. If you were simply recalling from first-hand events what you witnessed, but you didn't record it, you don't see it visually on screen, there's no visual reminder or visual learning to that extent, so it might not be ingrained in your mind the same way. Or more so, if you told something that happened but you're not showing it as proof or hard evidence, it can differ with time. I mean, if there were cameras inside of the house, it could show who goes into what room and at what time, such as the bedrooms or the bathroom, if the angle of the cameras are in the correct way. So there's that. Some people did say, well, when it comes to the bathroom area, is there a door? Does it lock? Because if it didn't lock, someone else could have come on in. And if you think about it, when Carter and Jasmine are washing Noah down, and then it said, oh, and then one of Noah's best buddies came on in to join in, how did they get in? Did they knock on the door? Hello, can I join on into this shower time? Or was it, right, I'm just going to plough myself in because I need a wash. I'm a dirty man because I've been in the side-by-side rollover, maybe? Got to take in mind that I think it might have been from Jack's perspective in a past interview that one by one, everybody had a shower onwards after Noah walked away, or around the time, because of people getting ready to go to sleep. So you're telling me there's about 10 to 15 party goers in one shower? Did each person have a shower one by one, or did people double team, triple team, a foursome, a threesome? I don't know. Because in the event with Noah Presgrove, another guy joined on in. And that was pretty much it. But was there a lock on the door, yes or no? If there was no lock on the door, and what Kane said is true, that Jack was awake at the time, and if we knew the time temp of the shower, and Jack was awake, then surely Jack would have seen or at least heard the commotion or the noise or the laughing from the shower or bathroom, may have been intrigued, gone nearby, listened in, and found out that, oh, your girlfriend's washing Noah and Noah's not clothed. Oh, what's going on there? but no mention of that. So if Jack was truly out of it, oblivious to the shower, at the time at least, was there a possibility that Carter Combs felt it wasn't worth telling Jack about that event because as insignificant as it is, she might think it's a big deal to Jack and she doesn't want to go through all the complications of Jack getting jealous or having to go at Noah and all that again? Makes you think. Do you know when you get to do covert behaviour? You're going behind somebody's back, not in a nasty way, but because you care, and at the same time, you don't want all that drama that comes with it. Okay, it might sound like a toxic or unhealthy relationship, but in the moment, at that time, I'm not talking about onwards or how it is now, I'm just talking about at the time. You could say there was an inbuilt pre-jealousy if it's true that Noah was the popular one, was the more dominant individual or more successful in certain areas and had more history with a range of different people and those at the party that Jack may have felt in the shadows of Noah. There's different ways of looking at it, right? I'm not saying it's 100% a fact, I'm just throwing it out there to try and work out how events happened, what followed, and where was Carter at the time if she was supposedly asleep with Jack's alibi, literally. Was Carter Combs sleepwalking? Did Carter Combs just wake up at the time of when Noah gained entry to the bedroom to get the keys? Does anyone have a bloody lock on the door? My God, anyone coming in left, right and centre? Forget about the windows. Wow. And then obviously the 3:30. And then after that, who knows, right? Is there any other examples of what we can use? See, the only other thing I'd like to throw out there is, well, she got the activities of Sunday afternoon, evening time where the guys go out in the Ford Ranger. Maybe Jack was driving, not too sure, going amongst the fields to shoot at animals. What were the girls doing, right? See, when it came to Saturday, at least, that was described as a normal day party. Sunday morning, when everyone who was there previous, well, to an extent, close friends, went out to Warwicker gas station and then they returned back, Caden and the girls dropped off. Everybody else went back out and met up with Caleb Newton. Interesting. What did Caden and the girls get up to Sunday morning or so? Watching films and movies. I mean, that's how Caden worded it, but as for the day it occurred on, it's a bit messy because Caden said in the private interview, on Friday they watched movies. On Friday they went out to buy alcohol at a nearby store. Really? I mean, at least the public interview, Caden said when he was dropped off back at the party house with the girls Sunday morning whilst the others went back out, they kind of like sat down and hung out and I guess watch movies. You could consider it as I can't even say it, like a girl sleepover, but then you got Caden Pressey there. But then you got to understand, maybe Caden Pressey wanted to get back because he's only so mobile, right? And maybe it's just his mindset, he wants to do other stuff. You know, depending on what the guys were going to do after, did they decide to drop the girls and Caden off because they felt that the girls wouldn't be able to keep up with the guys getting on with certain activities? Or they didn't want the girls to be there whilst the guys get up to certain activities? And as for Caden, he was an exception because Caden couldn't move too much, so it would slow everyone else down. I don't know. It depends how you look at it, right? And as for the other events, like, you know when I said what's the ratio between males to females at the party? What's the ratio between reckless activities by males at the party to reckless activities of females at the party, right? The shooting, the messy hunting. It wasn't really hunting, was it? It was just reckless shooting of animals, driving about the field, side-by-side rollover. Is this all male type-like activities? Did any of the girls get caught up with any of those activities or stuff? The golf club, swinging them about, smashing stuff up, which involved Noah Presgrove, which involved Caden Pressey, and maybe some of the other guys too. It's guys this, guys that. Is there a pattern? Is there a theme? Are all the reckless activities mainly caused by males? Is that one way to narrow it down, that during the death period of Noah or the possible murder, that activity was likely carried out by a male or a group of males? You get what I'm saying? I don't know what the statistics are out there, where they might say a certain portion of crimes committed are done more so by males than females. Does that apply here in this case, as for a certain type of activities performed are done more so by males than females? The side-by-side rollover where things got very dirty and dusty, did any girls act as passengers or not? Did they think, ew, I'm not going to get dirty? No, you can. I'm staying inside. I'm going to warm up with the homegirls. Is it like that? Or some people just want to get down and dirty, but not in that way, and hang with the males and getting on with certain activities? I wonder. So, a range of different things to throw out there. A theory-based one. If there are any other activities or events which could tie in with Carter Combs or Jack Newton or Noah, like some kind of triangular stranglehold of conflict, well, maybe you can leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. This was an unedited video with no script, all done from the mind and the possibilities. I didn't have enough time to show my face and do all the other little bits along the way. But I just wanted to get this video out now as part of the ongoing list of stuff I wanted to create. And yes, this was mainly about Carter Combs, and there's many other people at the party too, which could be looked at bit by bit, but this is a particular themed one of a sensitive topic to an extent. So be sure to leave your comments down below. Feel free to hit the like button and share the video so more people get to see it, and hopefully you enjoyed it. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye, good night for now.